Well, congrats. Enjoy the ride.
I appreciate it, man. I might lean on you from time to time.
In 16 years, she'll go off to school without even saying goodbye on the way out the door.
That's cool. I saw you got to see your daughter and when you were up in Idaho.
Yeah, she was in the Nike cross country regional there. It was pretty cool.
Things straightened out.
All right, guys, we got Coach here. I'll let him go ahead and get started.
Okay, guys, good afternoon or late morning. Well, we got another big challenge this week. I'd like to just say some comments closing in on the Boise State game after we watched the tape. First of all, I think Boise State is an excellent football team and really much better than their record. Coach Avalos has done a good job navigating that team. We knew they had good players. We also knew it would be a big challenge. We were going to need to play well. I told our team that it's probably going to come down to a play or two somewhere in the fourth quarter. We're going to need to make the play. And as it all unfolded, it was a game going into the fourth quarter. Certainly, a turnover margin had a big impact in the ball game. That wasn't the only factor, but to be -1 going on the road, that was going to be a difficult stat to overcome. When I saw the deflection, I kind of gnashed my teeth because I thought, that whole swing had a big impact in the ball game. our guys played hard. There's things that we did well in the game, not well enough though. But I think we need to give Boise quite a bit of credit. Their quarterback, we knew was an excellent player. Bachmeyer, Shakir is as good as advertised. The running game was there. Thought they played good on defense. You know, we had some good performances with our guys as well. We made it through the game pretty doggone healthy. So everybody that played in the game will be able to play this next week. We also feel like Eric Abogier will practice today, so we're encouraged about that. That's going to help fortify our offensive line. And so we got to move on. We're 5-5, a lot to play for. A big, tall task this week. Utah State's playing at a really high level. They're currently 8-2. Had a big, convincing win against San Jose State. Watched the tape and a lot of explosive plays. Their offense is a wide open offense where they throw the ball. They have the ability to run the ball, though. The quarterback is playing extremely well, and they've got good players. I think Coach Anderson, I know him. He's a prince of a guy. There's probably not a school in the country that's done a better job utilizing the transfer portal and the one-time transfer as well as what they have. They certainly flipped their roster over. I went down through and looked. This is a credit to Coach Anderson. 5 guys from Arkansas State traveled with him there. Their starting quarterback and an all-conference linebacker and a couple other players. And then they've had 25 other guys transfer in from 4-year institutions and then 11 junior college players. So they really flipped the roster over and done a great job with this crew. Bonner right now is averaging 315 yards per game throwing the ball. Their offense is very prolific, 467 yards per game. They've got a great wide receiver, Tompkins, and their defense is very much a ball hockey defense. They have forced 20 turnovers, so they're a +1 every game. And so, that seems to be a formula. I've always known that. For us to move forward, we're going on the road. It'll be a challenge as well. Our guys are excited about it. And we're looking forward to playing the Utah State Aggies. So at this time, I'll open it up to any questions anybody may have.
Ryan, go ahead.
Craig, I guess when you bring in that level of transfer, that many of them, it's probably a double-edged sword where on one hand, you're, like you said, flipping the roster and getting more talent in there. But on the other hand, you never know how that chemistry is going to go. How would you kind of describe the job Blake Anderson has done in, bringing that?
Well, I think he's done a phenomenal job, and I'm complimentary of him. The lay of the land of college football is changing a little bit as we go through it. They have an excellent football team. They certainly fortified the roster with good players. That's not our MO. We're a developmental program. But kudos to Coach Anderson. They're a good football team. It's gonna take a good effort for us to beat them. And like I said, we're just operating differently. There's lots of different ways to skin a cat, but college football is changing. I know one college is not recruiting any high school players; they're recruiting all transfers. I think it's still important to have a good relationship with high school coaches. I think it's important to find in-state talent here in the state of Wyoming and to have guys develop. And so that's going to be our MO. It's not to say that we won't utilize the transfer portal, but they have a heck of a football team, and it's going to take a tall task for us to beat them.
Josh, go ahead.
One of the biggest things that stands out about Utah State is their balance they've had offensively. As a defense, what's the greatest challenge about preparing for a team where you really can't hone in on one thing of the offense to stop?
Well, first of all, they do a great job with their spacing. As you look at their football team and how they attack defenses, they spread the field out all over, and they have weapons to utilize it. And like I said, Bonner, and he had a heck of a career when he was at Arkansas State as well. Really's got a great understanding of their offense and puts the ball where it needs to be. And so as a result of that, sometimes you work so hard on defending the pass, and as you said, the numbers don't lie. They're able to run the football as well. And so, it's a real challenge to be able to take away that space, make plays, and then also limit the running game. And that's a That's what makes their offense so prolific. They have good players and they have good schemes, and they utilize their players in their scheme well.
Cody, go ahead.
Hey, Craig, I know when you watch the film, it's always kind of coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? But, late in the first half, did you feel like you guys maybe should have been a little more aggressive there and with so much time left? Do you think that was a big swing in the game?
Well, talk to me about when you're referring to late in the first half and where it's at.
With 2:47 remaining there with the ball when Titus reached out and didn't get the first down there?
Yeah, here's where we were at. We were reeling a little bit defensively with our field position. Now, what our thoughts were to see where we came up with a first down. If we could come up and generate a first down there, we were going to probably change our MO. I appreciate you saying hindsight's 2020. I was hopeful as Titus. We ran that sweep. I was hopeful that when they went and reviewed it, that they were going to overturn the decision. They didn't. And so that changed the complexion. We were hoping to keep some points off the board. And, there was a whole lot of conversation that was going on right during that play, Cody. Not only the spot, but also the time, because I knew how much time they had left. So, to say we were in that case going to throw the football, what we did not want to do, we wanted to see where we're at on that field position to see where we could go. And we came up, I guess, by the review, maybe an inch or two short. So, hindsight's 2020. I don't know if I would have second guessed it. I wish Titus maybe had gotten 2 more inches, and then the conversation would probably be a little different. Okay.
Ryan, go ahead.
Craig, Isaac White made a couple of nice plays at the goal line on Shakir, passes intended for Shakir. What have you seen from him lately,
Right.
just as far as his development? And obviously he's been playing more with Gandy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've really been pleased with Isaac's performance. He's really a great student of the game. His father was a head football coach in Division I, so he comes from a coaching family. And actually had spent some time in Denver. That's how we first got on him. So he's a coach's kid. He takes coaching really well. I think you're right. The play that he hit Shakir, he came over and really dislodged him. And we feel like he's got a bright future. Unfortunately, Isaiah has been troubled with stingers to the point where he's had a hard time replicating things in practice because you don't want to further damage that shoulder with some stingers. And then he got in the game and he got one right away. And so, it's been tough for Isaac, not Isaac, but Isaiah. But we're well pleased with how Isaac has played. And I think he's got a bright future. He's a young player that football is really important to him. He's smart. He works hard and he's got good athleticism. So that's a good formula.
Josh, go ahead.
Garrett Krall, one of the super seniors on the team, what has he meant to this program over the past few years, and how important are guys like him as you guys try to rally and get to a bowl game?
Well, it's really critically important, and he's been a joy to coach, and he's done a super job as a captain. He's worked hard. He's reached across all kinds of different subgroups within our football team. Sometimes you can have offense and defensive guys kind of congregate to their own area, or sometimes you can have position groups congregate to their own area. He's constantly encouraging younger players, both on offense and defense. This is really important to him. This last year is really important to him. You talked about postseason play. We have a mantra about going 1-0, and so that's our focus. But everybody knows in the back of our mind those number of wins to get in postseason play are critical, and he's done a great job with his leadership.
Cody, go ahead.
Craig, what areas would you like to see Levi Williams still improve on here, and how critical is this 2-game stretch for him?
Well, we're gonna take it one game at a time, and so there's probably not going to be a lot that we're going to talk about that's different as opposed to our last game. Certainly he's improved as far as his decision making, and that goes from everything from managing the offense to where he's placing the football. He completed 61% of his passes, which is good. There were a couple throws that I think everybody wished that he might have had back. I think he's understanding his ability to run and what type of runner he is. And so we're encouraged without question. I think there's a great chemistry between him and Isaiah, particularly on some of the fade balls. And, late in the game, we hit a side pocket where Isaiah took off. I don't know if it was 60-yard touchdown or something like that. And there was another pass that was deep in their territory. That was a fade that might have been thrown a little bit further, maybe 6 inches more to the outside, and I think that would have had an impact. So we're pleased with his progress. He's not a finished product. He's working hard, and Coach Palasek's doing a good job for him. We're in hopes that he continues to stay healthy, and this will be a big ball game for him. Whenever you go on the road, it's always somewhat challenging for a lot of players, but I think particularly for the quarterback position because you're dealing with elements that you're not quite used to. So we feel like he's up to the task. We're excited to see how he plays.
Ryan, go ahead.
Craig, it seems like every week this entire season, one thing you can count on is Chad Muma to have double-digit tackles. And I know that a lot of work must go into that. He makes it look easy, but it's probably very difficult. How would you describe what you see behind the scenes with Chad getting ready to do that every week? A guy that's dealing, with diabetes and mechanical engineering major. Just what's he like behind the scenes?
You know what? He's what you have as far as your hallmark, as far as what you want in a program. He's doing a great job in his academics. He came here to get a meaningful degree. Certainly a mechanical engineering degree from the University of Wyoming is going to serve him very well. And that's a challenging major, and he's doing well in that. So he takes care of his schoolwork. He's constantly been on top of his diabetes, and he's been a champion for that cause, which is encouraging because I think he's showing maybe a pathway for some other student athletes how to manage that. I think he's done a great job of being a captain. He's garnered a ton of NFL interest. And so what happens sometimes, Ryan, is guys start thinking about tomorrow and thinking about their NFL career, and he'll play in the NFL. But they think about their NFL career as opposed to living in the now. And Chad is a great guy as far as playing and living in the now. And each week he keeps on delivering his preparation, all those tackles. Now, a lot of it, without question, comes into his ability and his effort. But a lot of it comes down to his dissecting an opponent's game plan and putting himself in the right position to make those tackles. So a whole complete player. That's what you want out of a Mike linebacker. We've been fortunate. He'll get drafted. We'll have three linebackers get drafted in a short amount of time. And I think you're seeing just kind of a cascade of leadership and these guys passing the torch down to that Mike position. And he's done a great job with it. So we're glad we have number 48. How much longer we have him, I don't know, but I'm going to put my arms around him and give him a big hug, and I'm glad he's on our team.
Cody, go ahead.
Greg, it appears kick coverage has really improved since the beginning of the year. That's obviously going to be a big deal against Utah State, as you've seen in your tenure in Laramie. I'm wondering why has that gotten so much better, and how important has Wyatt Eckler, a youngster, been to that?
Well, it's going to be critical this game, as you know. They've got a great kickoff return game, and I was concerned last week when I saw number 2 go back for some punts. That hidden yardage and field position is so critical. We work hard at it. We allocate a lot of time during practice and meetings, and then we look at our personnel. Particularly on the kickoff coverage, if you look at the number of plays that Sebastian has made, I mean, he's been a dynamic force on that, and Weckler and some of these other guys, as you mentioned. And so on a game like this, going on the road, we've got a great opportunity to win, but we're going to need to play well in all 3 phases. And the special team part of the game is going to be critical. And so our coverage skills and our kicks will be really important.
Tracy, go ahead. You're muted, Tracy.
Yeah, don't get frustrated, Trace. There you go. You're on.
All these modern day mechanical things. It's
Yeah,
very
you're modern. You're modern too.
Hey, with a kid like Sween, a young kid, and he goes back home during the pandemic. One, were you concerned about him coming back when everything got settled? And two, has he exceeded any expectations with how quickly he seems to have stepped into things?
Mhm. During the pandemic, Tracy, so much was up in the air. His parents were both healthcare workers at a hospital in the Metroplex where they were inundated with COVID patients. And so to have him back, I never took that for granted, or we never took that for granted. We're certainly pleased that has come back. We're exceptionally pleased with his team first attitude. And then the other thing that I've seen, I've got a jersey in my office, and we buy expensive jerseys. There's a hole in that jersey that is probably close to a softball size that just got ripped out. The fabric got ripped out, and unlike the days when I was playing where you had tearaway jerseys, that was not a tearaway jersey, and he scored on that play on that touchdown. That's hard to do, and he's an explosive running back, and he's added great value to our offense, and he's been a joy to coach.
We got any more questions, guys?
Okay, guys, stay tuned. It's going to be a heck of a matchup.
Thanks, Greg.
Yep.
All right, guys, we got Ralph here. Go ahead and get started.
Ralph, I assume you don't want to be the busiest guy on the team when you're at Boise State, but you did a heck of a job. How much confidence do you have in your freshman year here and what you've been able to accomplish?
Appreciate it. The confidence, I'll tell you what, it's not really in me. It's in my shield and my punt team. I trust those guys so much. And for me right now, I'm taking it as a learning experience, just learning and processing everything for next year.
Ralph, how exciting is it for that special teams unit, just having guys like you and John that know you're going to be with the program for a couple of years here?
It's nice. I think the whole team has a sense of comfort with us too. And it's not. I think me and John can be the best in the Mountain West here in a few years.
Ralph, now that we're 10 games in, what do you
Ralph,
think,
speaking of the,
what do you think it did for you, Ralph, to have that competition in camp?
I think the competition elevated me because also Clayton is a great punter. He's phenomenal. I'm sure he can start wherever he wanted. But like watching Clayton and learning a few things from him, he's a very knowledgeable punter, and I learned some few things from him, and he's helped me out, and it's been great. We have a really good friendship too.
Ralph,
Ralph,
Come on.
speaking of the
Go ahead,
Mountain
Ryan.
West, the Mountain West, oh, thanks, Tracy. Speaking of the Mountain West, when you look at Stonehouse and Ariza, some of the best punters in the country are in the Mountain West. You said you wanted to be the best. What's your take on the situation with special teams in the Mountain West this season?
I think the Mountain West has probably the best punters in all of college football. Even like statistically, if we look at it, there's some great guys. I do think that what a lot of those special teams, what those players have is age on me and John. A lot of those guys are 5th, 6th year, 7th year guys, and there's a lot to learn and take from it. And they're setting records for me and John to come here and break them.
Ralph, what brought you to Wyoming from Oklahoma? Were there other options than redshirting last year?
There were a few other options, but what really stuck out to me was Coach Moore. He drove all the way down and watched me punt about 20 balls. And I looked at my parents and said, this is it.
You got any more questions for Ralph? All right, thanks, Ralph.
I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Ralph.
Appreciate it.
It's a cool little setup. All right, guys, we got Rome here, so go ahead and get us started.
Hey, Rome, heading into this week, Utah State has one of the more balanced, if not the most balanced offenses in the conference. For you guys as a defense, how do you go about preparing for a team where you can't really focus in on just one area?
Utah State usually has a good offense every year. And I think really just for us, that'll really help us focus in on everything. We have to do every part of our job right this week to be able to go out there and get stops.
Ralph, I'm curious what your thoughts are on Wyatt Eckler and how he's been coming about here this year. And I know he battled some injuries, but he's really playing well on special teams.
Yeah, Wyatt's my guy, man. We came in together, really. I used to play the game with him a lot. But, yeah, it was nice for him to get – I think that was his first collegiate catch this past week. But whatchamacallit, yeah, he's a big part of the team on special teams and on offense. He's doing his job really good.
One of the guys that's been here throughout your whole time has been Garrett Krall in the D-line. Just what does he mean to that whole defensive unit?
Yeah, G. Krall, he means a lot. He, brings a great deal of leadership to the team. Even when I first got here, I still looked at him as a leader. I know he was a little bit younger, but I always looked up to him. He keeps our heads straight. He's been through a lot, and he helps us to get through adversity.
Rome, Isaac White has kind of flashed here lately. He had a couple nice pass breakups against Shakir. What have you seen from him lately, just with his ability to fill in for Gandy a little bit?
Oh, yeah, Isaac's doing really good. He was kind of thrown into the fire filling in for Gandy. And I think he's doing a great job. He's out there doing his job. Nobody's perfect. None of us are. But he's out there doing his best, and he's really making plays out there.
Rome, you've had a couple of chances to really light some guys up the last couple of weeks, and you have thumped them and dropped them on their wallet. But because you did get kicked out of a game this year, how much does that go through your mind in that split second before you pop somebody over the middle?
That's kind of the hard part about playing defense. When you actually think about that before you make a tackle, that's when you actually go out there and miss it or mess up. So really, I don't really try to think about it. But after the targeting call of the Fresno week, I was just really focused on getting my strike zone lower, and I think I've been doing a good job with that.
We got any more questions for Rome? All right, thanks, Rome.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll call you.
Thank you.
Thank you.